Thanks for checking out this video. So it is time to go over what is coming to Shudder for February, and hopefully there's some really good stuff. Actually, as I'm going to read through these, this is the first time I'm finding out because I didn't look ahead at the email I got from Shudder with everything that's coming, so yeah. The first segment always is the Shudder exclusives and originals. Just know that I do no spoiler reviews for those films usually the week that they're going to be coming out. They usually come out on Thursdays each week, but sometimes they come out on like a Friday or a Monday or a Tuesday. So if they come out on Thursdays like normal, I'll have my review up probably on Monday of that same week. Once again, no spoilers. But if it's something like a Monday or Wednesday or something, it might be that previous Friday. Just watch my channel, basically. You'll see, if you're interested. Anyway, here we go. And all of these are available everywhere that there is Shudder. So the first one is Slapface, premieres February 3rd. After the death of his mother, Lucas, a loner who lives in a rundown home with his brother Tom, regularly seeks solace in the nearby woods. With his only friends being a group of female bullies, he keeps to himself most of the time. But after a strange encounter with an inhuman monster, Lucas begins to withdraw from others. When the two reach a tentative trust, a bizarre friendship is born, and Lucas is swept up in a series of primal adventures. Sounds interesting. Obviously, I'll be reviewing it, so here we go. The next one is called All the Moons. This one's coming out on February 10th. North of Spain at the end of the 19th century, during the final throes of the last Carlist War, a little girl is rescued from an orphanage by a mysterious woman after it's destroyed by a bomb. Wounded and close to death, the girl believes the woman is an angel coming to take her to heaven. Soon, however, she discovers that this strange being has given her the gift of eternal life by turning her into a vampire. Okay, so I guess the vampire thing isn't supposed to be a surprise in that, since it's in this little synopsis. All right, so yeah, All the Moons. I'm interested. Usually with vampire films, I'm kind of like, a lot of it's kind of like been there, seen that type stuff. So if it's got a new twist to it, I'm down. I have nothing against vampires. It's just, with a lot of vampire films out there, it gets a little old. But we'll see. They Live in the Gray, coming February 17th. While investigating a child abuse case, a young social worker discovers that a supernatural entity is tormenting the family. To save the parents from losing custody of their child, she must confront her fears and use her clairvoyance to stop the malevolent force. Could be interesting. We'll see. Then Hellbender. This one's premiering on February 24th. 16-year-old Izzy leads an isolated life on a lonely mountaintop. All she's learned is from her protective mom and the wilderness that swallows them. It's a gentle, quiet existence, except for when Izzy and her mom bang out loud songs for their band, Hellbender. Instead of E's, it's sixes for some reason. Oh, and there's 3 of them. I just put up 2 fingers. That's stupid. There's 3 of them. Izzy dreams of a live gig, but her mother thinks she's too sick and mustn't be around others. Questioning her illness and starved for companionship, Izzy sneaks down the mountain, where she befriends Brazen Amber. Izzy is in heaven until a cruel drinking game with a live worm unleashes a new kind of hunger. That sounds very interesting. I'm interested. That's probably the one I'm most interested of their exclusives and originals. Continuing series, A Discovery of Witches Season 3 is still going to be going, new episodes, with the finale on February 19th. That's a show I keep meaning to get to watching. I haven't seen any of it, but eventually it'll happen. And I'll do a review when I do that. Shudder specials. There will be a Joe Bob's Heartbreak Trailer Park. A lot of people probably waiting for this. I didn't know this was in here, because like I said, I'm reading this for the first time. A new Valentine's Day special premieres Friday, February 11th. All right, some more Joe Bob. I had a feeling he was going to do Valentine's Day again, so pretty into it. I don't need to read the information about it, because they don't tell you what the movies are or anything, so we all know about Joe Bob. Shudder is also going to be dropping a Boris Karloff collection, which is wonderful because there's a Boris Karloff documentary coming out next week when I'm doing this video. Coming out next week, which I will have a review for. And that's called Boris Karloff, the Man Behind the Monster. The other films are going to be dropping, well, in that collection are The Black Cat, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, House of Frankenstein, The Mummy, Son of Frankenstein, The Old Dark House, and Black Sabbath. So you can get your Boris Karloff fix like crazy. All right, so now going to the regular films. So the next grouping are all coming on February 1st. And then when there's a new date, I'll tell you what that new date is. So all these are coming February 1st, so a lot. Tales from the Hood. Oh, and all these are for the US only. That's all they give me when it's like the normal films. It's US only, typically. If it's anything different, I'll let you know. Tales from the Hood. A funeral director tells 4 strange tales of horror to 3 drug dealers he traps in his place of business. Seen it before, it's been a long time. I should probably check it out. Tales from the Hood 2. A sequel to the cult classic reunites executive producer Spike Lee and writer-directors Rusty Cundiff and Darren Scott for this horror comedy starring David Keith. Keith David, I think, is what they meant. Anyway. Yeah. Might binge this, by the way. I might binge these Tales from the Hood, because they also have Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. So I might do Tales from the Hood and Tales from the Crypt. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. A man on the run is hunted by a demon known as the Collector. That's all they say about it. I remember seeing this one a long time ago. I think I was lukewarm on it, but I think I need to revisit. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. Oh, I literally just read that. My apologies. Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood. I think Corey Feldman's in this one. Also watched it a long time ago. The Crypt Keeper returns to tell the story of a funeral parlor that moonlights as a vampire bordello. I remember it being like a horror comedy. Need to revisit. Cherry Falls. This is another one I saw a long time ago that I need to revisit. In the small town of Cherry Falls, a psychotic murderer is killing off the virgins of the local high school. I think Jay Moore is in that. Does Jay Moore do anything anymore? Does he act at all anymore? For a while, he was in a lot of stuff. Like, my favorite of his was Suicide Kings. He was great in Suicide Kings. Love that film. Also coming on the 1st, Queen of the Damned. In this loose sequel to Interview with the Vampire Chronicles, the vampire Lestat becomes a rock star whose music wakes up the equally beautiful and monstrous queen of all vampires. I remember seeing it on TV when I was really young and hating it. So let me know in the comments, is it worth actually watching? Or was my memory correct? Roe, R-O, it's just spelled R-O-H. Oh, and this one's also in Canada, Roe. Cut off from civilizations, a single mother puts her children on high alert when they bring home a young girl caked in clay. She tells of spirits and spirit hunters, but these are not mere superstitions. As more strangers show up on her doorstep, she quickly finds another reason to fear the forest. Malaysia's official submission to the 2021 Academy Awards. Well, that definitely makes me want to check that one out. Also, I do like to watch foreign horror, so. The next one is also coming to Canada as well. An ex-soldier homeless in London is... Oh, I'm sorry, it's called Amulet. Sorry, Amulet. I've heard decent stuff about this. An ex-soldier homeless in London is offered a place to stay at a decaying house inhabited by a young woman and her dying mother. As he starts to fall for her, he cannot ignore his suspicion that something sinister is going on. Sounds interesting enough. And actually, it says available on Shudder Canada. So I don't know if that's just Canada. It might be just Canada. So maybe assume that. Okay, the next one is also just Canada. It's from what it says, Censor, which I've seen this. I have a review for it. I just haven't put it up yet. So it will be coming at some point because I watched it on Hulu. Available in Canada. After viewing a strangely familiar video, Enid, a film censor, sets out to solve the past mystery of her sister's disappearance, embarking on a quest that dissolves the line between fiction and reality. It is interesting. Now, the next 3, they say, are just coming to the UK and Ireland. The Initiation. A professor struggling to save his marriage and career uncovers a society of witches. Sounds interesting. Battle Royale. Ooh, if you have not seen Battle Royale and you are in UK or Ireland, check it out. In the future, the Japanese government captures a class of 9th grade students and forces them to kill each other under the revolutionary Battle Royale Act. It is fun, it is crazy, it is messed up. Check it out. Now, I haven't seen Battle Royale 2, but they are also dropping Battle Royale 2. 3 years after the failure of the last Battle Royale program, a second act is forged, and a class of students is set is sent to an island with one objective: to kill international terrorist Nanahara. Okay. Coming February 2nd, now this is back to just US for the next two. Blood Glacier. Scientists working in the Austrian Alps discover that a glacier is leaking a liquid that appears to be affecting local wildlife. I think I've seen the cover art for this one and kind of like heard that it's not that great, but who knows? Tell me otherwise in the comments. And the other one coming on the 2nd, The Last Winter. An oil company drilling in the Arctic triggers something very scary during an expedition in director Larry Fessenden's eco-horror film, which stars Ron Perlman, Connie Britton, and James LaGrosse. Okay, I mean, Larry Fessenden, he usually can't steer you wrong, so I'm interested. The next grouping are coming February 7th. Now this one says US and Canada. Rock, Paper, Scissors. Jesus and Jose Maria are siblings living in a closed-off world constructed of strange games and relentless madness. When their half-sister Magdalena returns home to inquire about her share of their inheritance, a strange and bloody affair ensues. Interesting. The next one is Everyone. Entwined. Panos, a city doctor, relocates to a remote Greek village to offer his services to the underserved community. It's love at first sight when he sees Danae, who lives in isolation and with a mysterious skin condition. Determined to cure her, Panos will soon discover Danae is not the helpless princess he thought she was, and time is of the essence for both. That sounds interesting. Now this one's US and Canada. Fragile. Or Fragile, if you like A Christmas Story. At her new job in a rundown children's hospital, a nurse desperately tries to keep her patients safe from a plague of random mysterious acts. Pass, probably. For the UK and Ireland, City of the Living Dead, which I think is still available for the US. A reporter and a psychic race to close the gates of hell after the suicide of a clergyman caused them to open, allowing the dead to rise from their graves. Also coming to the UK and Ireland. Hopefully the US as well. The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. An American expatriate in Rome witnesses an attempted murder that is connected to an ongoing killing spree in the city, and despite himself and his girlfriend being targeted by the killer, he conducts his own investigation. Great quintessential giallo film, great quintessential Dario Argento film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Oh, so now a film for Australia and New Zealand called Initiation. Witten University unravels the night a star athlete is murdered, kicking off a spree of social media slaying that forced students to uncover the truth behind the school's hidden secrets and the horrifying meaning of an exclamation point. It's kind of weird. February 8th for the US, I Blame Society. A struggling filmmaker senses her peers are losing faith in her ability to succeed, so she decides to prove herself by finishing her last abandoned film and committing the perfect murder. Okay, seems interesting. Coming the 14th for the next ones, and these are all US and Canada except the second one. Knocking. After suffering a traumatic incident, Molly moves into a new apartment to begin her path to recovery, but it's not long after her arrival that a series of persistent knocks and screams begin to wake her up at night. Molly's new life begins to unravel as the screams intensify and no one else in the building believes or is willing to help her. This one's US only. Corporate Animals. A delusional CEO takes her staff of misfits on a disastrous team-building retreat led by an overeager guide. When catastrophe strikes and the food runs out, mandatory office bonding becomes a lot more appetizing. I get what they're getting at here. Now the next two are US and Canada. I Am a Ghost. Emily, a troubled spirit, haunts her own house every day, wondering why she can't leave. With help from a clairvoyant hired to rid the home of ghosts, Emily is forced into a patient-therapist relationship, uncovering disturbing mysteries about her past that may help her move on to the next place. It's in parentheses. And then Silent Retreat. Janie is sent to a silent meditation retreat in the woods for rehabilitation, only to realize that the men who run it are brainwashing women, and if she breaks the rules, she'll discover what lurks beyond the trees. That's interesting. The next two are US only. Spring. A young man in a personal tailspin flees to Italy where he sparks up a romance with a woman harboring a dark secret. That doesn't sound that enticing. Eat Brains Love. Interesting. A laugh out loud, funny, romantic zombie road trip movie filled with heart and brains. Okay, you got my attention on that one. That one sounds fun. This one's for UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. The Wretched. A defiant teenage boy struggling with his parents' imminent divorce faces off with a 1,000-year-old witch who is posing as the woman next door. Okay. 31, this is for the UK and Ireland. The next two are UK and Ireland only. 31, 5 carnival workers are kidnapped and held hostage in an abandoned and hellish compound and forced to participate in a violent game, the goal of which is to survive 12 hours against a gang of sadistic clowns. I've seen this film. I didn't like it. It's a Rob Zombie film, so if you really like Rob Zombie, you might like it. I did not. UK and Ireland, Hagazusa. In a remote alpine village in the 15th century lives a marked woman, the scapegoat of ancient superstitions and monstrous misogyny. This self-styled witch begins to assert her otherworldly birthright. This atmospheric debut feature from Lucas Fiegelfeld is a haunting pagan death trip and a startling vision of psychedelic horror. Okay, cool. I know it's been available for the US. A Night of Horror. This is for Australia and New Zealand. This one and the next one are. A Night of Horror, a collection of strange and terrifying shorts from Australia's long-running A Night of Horror International Film Festival. Okay, cool. XX. XX is an all-female helmed horror anthology featuring 4 dark tales written and directed by fiercely talented women. Okay, cool. All right, coming February 21st. This is for US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Dawn of the Beast. A group of graduate students get more than they bargained for while searching for the legendary Bigfoot. Not only is he real, but there's something far more lurking in the shadows. Interesting. This is US only. Dogs. Roman returns to the land he just inherited from his grandfather. After he decides to sell the vast desolate property, a local police officer warns him that his late grandfather was a local crime lord and his men will never let go of the land. I don't know about that. The next one is US and Canada. It's called Detention. 1962 Taiwan, during the time of the White Terror. Fang wakes up at her desk, but school is changed. As she wanders through the sinister corridors and other dilapidated rooms in search of her teacher, she meets Wei. Together, they must confront the ghosts and deformed monsters that have taken over their alma mater to find out what happened there. That sounds interesting. Very interested in that one. The next two are for Canada only. Come to Daddy. A man in his 30s travels to a remote cabin to reconnect with his estranged father. I think that one has Elijah Wood in it, and if that is the one, I've heard good things. Also Canada only, Bloodline. Evan values family above all else, and anyone who gets between him, his wife, and his newborn son learns that the hard way. But when it comes to violent tendencies, it seems the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Sounds interesting. And the next two are UK and Ireland. Under Gods, an otherworldly journey through a Europe in decline, a collection of darkly humorous fantasy tales about ill-fated characters and doomed fortune. Also, The Lesson, also UK, Ireland. Finn, a lone teen from a broken family, gets caught up in the wrong crowd of delinquent kids in this chilling horror film filled with white-knuckle suspense. Okay. Now, man, I'm running out of steam here. There's a lot. Coming February 28th, the next three are Australia and New Zealand only. ABCs of Death 2, another 26-chapter anthology that showcases death in all its vicious wonder and brutal beauty. I saw this first ABCs of Death and enjoyed it, so I should probably check this one out, although I'm not in Australia or New Zealand. So maybe at some point we'll get it in the US. And then also Australia and New Zealand, Across the River. An ethologist works in the remote woods trapping animals and mounting cameras on them to monitor their behavior. The resulting recordings lead him to an isolated village, the site of an ancient curse, where he gets trapped due to heavy rain that raises the level of the river and floods his only way out. Doesn't tell you a whole lot. Could be good. Who knows? And this one also Australia and New Zealand only. Sputnik. I recommend this one. This is a Russian film, so it'll be subtitled, but it's good. The lone survivor of an enigmatic spaceship incident hasn't returned home alone. Hiding inside his body is a dangerous creature. Trust me, definitely worth the time. And the last two are UK and Ireland. VHS 2. Searching for a missing student, two private investigators break into his house and find a collection of VHS tapes. Viewing the horrific contents of each cassette, they realize there may be dark motives behind the student's disappearance. Okay, part of the anthology series. And then the last one, UK and Ireland as well, VHS Viral. A Los Angeles police chase sends a fame-obsessed man on a wild ride to save his girlfriend from a cybernetic terror. Okay, there you have it. That was a lot. I'm exhausted from it. And yeah, want to get your recommendations for the ones that are in the United States. Well, I mean, for any of them really, because I have like Netflix DVD, so I can get a lot through there. Recommendations, put it in the comments. What did you hear in that list that I read off that you think I should definitely check out? Not saying that I'll necessarily have the time to, but they'll make it on my list in that case. So go ahead and put it down there. Also, if you just want to talk about some of the stuff, get nerdy about horror, all for it. Do me a quick favor, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I do these for every single month before that month occurs. So it's usually like a week or two ahead of time. So you can always find this here. Also do a lot of in-depth movie reviews for older horror films and no spoiler movie reviews for newer horror films, and do some opinion videos and other stuff randomly here and there. So hit subscribe. That's your best way to repay me if you like this video or any video I've ever done. I really do appreciate that. It literally keeps me motivated, so I thank you very much for that. Also hit the subscribe, or I literally said that. Hit the notification bell button, and that way you'll know when I'm putting up new videos, which I'm doing about 4 a week. Regardless, though, I really appreciate you taking your time to watch this, and until next time, keep it brutal.